Hello, this is Michael LaFavor, also known as Scientific Guy on all of my handles on Twitch and YouTube. Today, I'm going to be going over the requirements for a Deltarune Trophyless run. This is the challenge that Toby Fox talked about as being ridiculous, and he didn't think anyone would attempt it, and it would be really hard. My light is bothering me. I'm going to turn this off. In the meantime, I have a much better mic than I had for the last time I had this set up. It should pick me up from all the way across the room. Oh, that's dark. I'm fine with that. That is okay. So, what I'm going over right now is I have gone through the code of Deltarune, every single line of code that references unlocking trophies in Deltarune. And let me get my stream pulled up so that I can actually see if there's any chat or anything like that. Close you out. Go to my profile. It's still showing as the previous title. Why is it showing as Buckshot Roulette? That's kind of dumb. Let me figure this out. This is not going to be a normal edited YouTube video, if you can tell, so I'm very sorry about that. I don't really like video editing. If you want to see when I get to discussing specifics about this, skip ahead to the Excel spreadsheet. For now, I am going to figure out what my settings are doing. Okay, it is set up as Deltarune. Maybe it's a Twitch app on iOS that's the problem. Am I balding? I don't know. That would be sad if I was. Okay, great. Yeah, just in case anyone pops up in chat. There's probably not going to be anybody. So, what we are doing is in this part 0 of this, I will be going over every single instance that the game's code tells it to either update a trophy, activate a trophy, or update the count of a particular count that it's checking for a trophy. So the number of times you've been hurt, I think it's only the number of times you've been hurt or the amount of treasure you've collected. Those are the two counts. So the game does either one of those when it checks. And the mod that I have for Deltarune is I've just gone in and added a single line of code to play the weird route sound effect, sound_ominous, whenever it does that. So if I'm playing through the game and I hear that sound, because I'm not going to be doing the weird route, I'll know, okay, something happened and I activated a trophy. Why did I do that? And that's only for testing on PC, routing it out and doing practice runs. So when I actually go to do it on PS5, I won't have that. Instead, I'll just have the trophy notification pop up and I'll have failed. So hopefully I want to be able to do this on one run through only. I don't want to have to do multiple runs because doing another run means I failed and I have to get another PS5 account and Deltarune on that account in order to do this. So if I fail, there's a good chance I might just not continue with it. But I don't know how many other people are actually attempting this. The only video I saw online was, I think, a YouTube short about it, and that, I think, just hacked the ending of it, because I don't see how you could get that ending in that short amount of time. Unless somebody did. Did anybody actually legit get the ending? Did anybody actually legit get the ending of the PS5 ending? Yeah, no idea. So let's go to the requirements for this. I'm going to switch over to my spreadsheet here and see if this works. All right, hopefully you guys will be able to see this. Terrific. Here we go. Oh, my camera's in the way. Hang on a second. Can I put myself in a spot that's less visible? Let's switch over to this real quick. So if I'm right here, there we go. Let me move myself all the way down here. So, and is that good? Yeah, that's good. And then if I switch over to this should put me in the right spot. Great. Let me move myself up a little bit. There we go. Okay, just checking on here to see how we're looking. Perfect. Okay. So this is the complete list. You should be able to see this. I'll go through every one of these and highlight them. I have a formula that pulls from I don't need that. That pulls from a full list of all of the descriptions of them, the chapter they were found in, the file, whether they're automatically unlocked by another trophy being unlocked, the line in the file, argument 1, argument 2, and argument 3 of it. So first, let me just go through what I found in the code. All of these are found in the data.win files for chapters 1, 2, 3, and 4. I noted the chapter here and then I noted the script that they were found in. So for example, the first one that appears in the code when I search through the code using Undertale mob tool is in GML global script light, I think it's L item use B is what that is. And this is when you consume an item in the light world. This is found on line 16 of this file. It takes 0 as the first argument, which is the first option that value, I think it's trigger event. Trigger event takes the first value as a 0 if it needs to immediately unlock a trophy. And this trophy's ID is 9. If we go down to taking damage only passes one value to trigger event, and this means that it is the damage event. The damage event adds to the global damage counter for the chapter, and if it surpassed it, it will activate 5. No, that's wrong. 5 is the achievement, or is the trophy, but once 5, because of this counter in 932, reaches 4, which is what this corresponds to, chapter 1 has 4 hits, then it's activated and it gives you the trophy. I don't know if it gives it to PSN when you take damage, or if it stores it locally and then you save and then it checks it, but I'm going to assume for the sake of my testing that it gives it to PSN, just so that I can be extra careful about this. And then some of these are auto. So for example, let's go to the game over skip. So if you use the game over skip, which is pressing any button 4 times between right before the heart breaks and the game over text appears. If you press it 4 times, it'll immediately warp you back to the position where you were, and this works, I think, in all of the game, not just for bosses or hard fights. If you do that, then that automatically gives you Trophy 13, which is, I think, failure? Yeah, failure. And then it also automatically gives you the damage trophy, which is trophy number 5 for chapter 1. In all, there are 154, not counting the heading, 154 lines of code that correspond to unlocking a trophy, with the exception, I guess they're included in the 154 list, but along with these are pre-chapter checks that run at the beginning of the chapter. They're given first argument 2 and second argument 0. And what these do is, I think they tell PSN that you have started playing the chapter, so that you can't just cheese it and say that you finished the chapter and get a chapter complete trophy otherwise. But these do not count toward what I'm looking for. So when I summarize this, I actually went to ChatGPT because I could make the formula myself, but ChatGPT is fantastic at helping with data manipulation and stuff. So I went to that, refined a formula a little bit, and ChatGPT came up with a excellent summary tool, which I'll show you in a second. But I also just went through and listed out the 30 trophies, starting from ID 0 to ID 29, and we'll go all over these in a minute. So then, summary, this is the entire spreadsheet. It should be, unless there was an error in here, I'm pretty sure there's not, of every single trigger for the 30 trophies in the game. Let's go over all of these, starting with the first one with connection. Now, I'll show you what these colors mean that I've labeled here. Because this is going to be a rather ridiculous run, I needed to categorize all of these requirements into easy to miss, or easy to, I guess, not activate, neutral, kind of normal difficulty, or hard. So easy to miss is green, normal is just black, and then hard is red. So all trophies for the connection trophy. If you get all other trophies from 1, 2, 3, and 4, I guess if you're in chapter 1, 2, 3, or 4, and the game detects that you have all trophies, it'll give you the connection trophy. This is extremely easy to not get, because there are some trophies in here, like the throne trophy. Well, I guess I'll put it this way. If I have all trophies, I'm not going to be continuing the run. I'm just going to quit. I will have quit way sooner than that. So, no. We're not getting the connection trophy. Chapter 1, 2, 3, and 4 end are moderate difficulty because of the requirement of the egg. For chapter 1, you need to get the egg by grinding in between the 2 rooms after the Starwalker room and the one, I guess with the swirling bullets that you have to avoid. Grinding there will lead you to the egg, and you can get it there. And just have it in your inventory finishes the chapter. With chapter 2, I believe you do have to get the egg separately for each of these. So for chapter 2, I know that when you go to the Toby room, that he kills you and like makes you take damage, but I don't know if that actually counts toward your damage or toward a game over. So that'll be something that I need to check. First off, if you have to go through the entire Toby Fox room in order to get the egg, or if you can just go in and go right back out and grind that location for it. 3 and 4, I don't know where the egg is, so I need to look that up and figure that out, but hopefully there aren't any extra requirements for that. This is obviously possible. It's just hard, and I don't know how hard these are going to be, so I've left them as neutral for now. Let's go down to the pain section. So pain is going to be abysmal for chapter 1 because you're only allowed to take pain or take damage 4 times. You can also get this trophy from doing the game over skip. So it doesn't actually give you the trophy until you've loaded into the game over room, but it doesn't load into the game over room if you do the skip, the 4-button skip. It does still give you the trophy though if you do that skip. So the game over skip is something I'm just not going to be doing because I won't be getting a game over, hopefully. And the game over is what's going to be difficult for these. I should be able to get through the first 4 chapters without a game over because I won't be doing secret bosses, and I know the route pretty well. And then with the spoilers for chapter 4, the Titan, I mean, you're already seeing spoilers in here, so okay. The Titan for chapter 4, that is going to be a harder boss fight because I won't have the Black Shard. Is it the Black Shard? For whatever you get from killing the Knight in chapter 3. I won't be able to have that, so that's going to make that fight very difficult. But I have 22 chances to take damage in that one. So worst case scenario, we'll be able to get through that. But chapter 1 is going to be the hard one because taking damage accidentally 4 times is going to be super easy. Barely an inconvenience. So if I go here to taking damage on 1, 2, 3, and 4, that's the most hard. Damage in a minigame is also interesting for chapter 3 because the game counts that differently. So if I am shot by like in the Western minigame when I'm on the train, that counts as taking damage. In chapter 4, I actually haven't played through the normal route of chapter 4, so I know there's a interchange, and I found this in the code specifically, where Chris is hurting you as the player, but this doesn't happen in the weird route, so I don't know how difficult it is to avoid taking damage in that section, so I'll have to practice through that. Taking damage from the Knight, this is not a problem in chapter 3 as much, because if you can just take damage like 2 times, like let's say it's 2 or 3 times per character, so that'll be like max 9 damage mandatory at the end. So if I can get to the end of the chapter with no damage and then just boom, let the Knight knock me out first try, then we're good, and that's the end of the chapter. That'll be fine. But then damage from the Knight in chapter 4 is the swords that come down at the beginning. So if I can get around the swords, that would be good, but if I'm taking damage from them, then that might be a couple ones that I need to add up, like, okay, I'll just take that loss of like 3 or 4 at the beginning of the chapter. So that's where the difficulty will, I think the main difficulty of this challenge is going to be, just doing it damageless. So because I'll be doing it on PS5, the control scheme is a little different, but I'm going to try to use my DualSense controller for the playthrough on PC when I'm practicing, so I can try to get the best feel for what it'll be like. So that's how the pain section works for all of those. Let's skip over these real quick and go to consumer. So for the consumer sections, most of these are easy to skip. I just have to not open the menu and use an item and not eat the moss, which is rather heartbreaking, but I'm going to survive. As far as eating an item in battle, I wasn't able to figure this out, and I might look into it a little bit more. But the game has 2 different scripts and triggers. One of them is for, I think, for spell. It's something about script, spell, and battle, or what the scripts are called. I forget exactly what they're called, but chapter 1 only has one of those, and chapters 2 through 4 have 2 separate scripts that handle items in battles, it seems like. I don't know if this applies to Ralsei healing you, because that might be what it's referring to with the difference. But I also saw something in chapter 2 about Noelle becoming stronger using the item, or before using the item. I don't know. I don't know exactly how that works, but it's going to be rather difficult for me to get through battles and be able to survive without having those items. Or I might just have an item and like go to throw it away and accidentally use it, or have an item, throw it away, or forget to throw it away and then accidentally use it. Like I forget, like, oh, I need to heal up here, just because that's muscle memory at this point for a lot of things. So that's not ridiculously difficult because it's hard to do that really accidentally, but I need to just make sure I remember not to do that. Armors. You can't equip armor unless you go into the menu. I am fairly certain of that, because every time that I saw this, the only times these came up were when you were in the menu selecting an armor item. There is no time in the game, as far as I know, when the game automatically equips an item and gives you this trophy. It might auto-equip an armor, I don't know, I don't think so, but I'm pretty sure that it's only in the menu. So armor is going to be no problem. So let me jump back up to these here, the Cutlery and Symphony. So Cutlery and Symphony correspond to the minigames in Chapter 3. One of them is from Chapter 4, but Lightner's Live in Chapter 4 is optional. I don't have to do it, so I can avoid that. The issue that I'm getting is I need to be able to do well, do poorly enough in these minigames to where I'm not taking damage. I don't know if you take damage from the cooking minigame. I'm pretty sure you don't, but I'll need to check that, because I at least need to miss all of the customers. And I also need to take as much time as possible on the fights, or on all the little events in the... Oh, that's another thing. I don't know, does it give... I think it gives you damage if you get questions wrong in the quiz. So I need to figure out what actually, like, what happens if you try to get Z rank, because I need to obviously get Z on all of these. So that's something that I don't know how difficult that's going to be, but it's going to be hard to do it by accident. So it's normal difficulty for me for both of those. For Lightner's Live, the game auto-completes the thing for you if you do really badly, so I'll just be able to put my controller down and not do anything while I'm waiting for that to auto-complete for me. Let's jump over here to this side. Scale. Scale is one I'm really concerned about, because I don't know if I'm going to be able to balance getting up the wall quickly enough with not taking damage and not slipping back down and making mistakes on the wall. Because 90 seconds is a pretty generous amount of time, and it resets between walls. So if I jump onto a wall, I'll have enough time to, get through, hopefully jump off, and then that timer will reset, and I can have a fresh timer going into the next wall. But I forget specifically how hard they are. I know for, like, the one with Susie, where she's helping you and stuff, that one might go on for a while, but there's probably a way to get past that. This is possible. There is absolutely a way to get past it, but I'm just not sure how to practice it. So what I'll need to do is, on PC, have the controller be going up the wall and timing myself. And then if I run out of time, hopefully the sound ominous will trigger along the same time that my timer hits. So when I'm actually playing it on PS5, if I'm sensing that we're getting near to like 80 seconds or so, I can quit out of the game and save it from triggering the trophy. So that one should be okay, but it's still going to be a challenge when I get to Chapter 4. Oh, by the way, this only works if you've completed all chapters. So the special message that you get at the end of Chapter 4 will only activate when it detects that you have a save file that's completed 1, 2, 3, and 4. So what I'm going to be doing is just starting from save file 1, slot 1, and then continuing to 2, to 3, to 4, and doing it that way just for simplicity. Beast. Beast is going to concern me for Chapter 1 because I know there are ways to prevent Susie from killing enemies, but I don't remember them right now. I know that there is, there's warn and stuff like that where you can warn I don't know if it's called that, but you can warn the enemy that Susie's going to attack, and then either Susie's attack will be diminished or she'll miss. So I need to practice that for Chapter 1, because the enemies specifically are Hathy, which is a scripted fight, C-Round, a scripted fight, and then any other enemy that you encounter before Susie stops doing that thing. So Susie Zilla for the Beast section is an optional minigame in Chapter 3 that I will just not be doing. And that's it's guaranteed if you beat Susie Zilla, you get the Beast trophy. So, moving on from that, Ring. there are 3 events in Chapter 2 and 1 in Chapter 4. The 3 events are the Thorn Ring, the Freeze Ring, and Spamton's Phone. Spamton's Phone is something that plays, I forget how long it is, I think it's 720 frames into the Spamton shop music that Spamton's Phone rings. So I'll just not go to Spamton's shop. I also missed Spamton's shop on my first playthrough of Chapter 2. I didn't even know it was there, so that'll be easy for me to, again, forget about. The Thorn Ring and Freeze Ring are in the weird route, which I will not be doing, so we're good. The bell in the Mizzle room. I don't remember where this is, so I need to be careful about this, because this isn't a numbers thing. This is just you ring the bell, you get the trophy. So on PC, I will make sure I'm identifying the right room, how to get around it if I can't ring the bell. I'm trying to think through this. I guess I just don't know enough about the room. So I'll get there and then figure that out when that happens. If the sound plays, then I'll reset on PC and go again. But that shouldn't be a huge problem, but I don't know how hard it is to avoid or not accidentally do. So, skipping down to the next section. I guess I can hide this. Hello? Can you hide? Full screen mode. Tabs only. There we go. That's easier. So, next section right here with Mirror and Erase. These two should be completely fine. Most of them have to do with copying and erasing files, which I could accidentally do, but I think given the seriousness of this challenge, I'll probably remember not to. So just don't copy or erase any files in chapters 1 through 4. Interacting with the mirror and the sword minigame are the special requirements, or the extra requirements for chapters 1 through 4. So if I interact with the mirror at all in Chris's house, then that'll result in the trophy. And if I finish the sword minigame after defeating the Shadow Mantle and walk out of it and Chris sees me, then that also qualifies. That is not going to happen because I'm not doing the sword route, because I don't want to take damage. And also, the Shadow Mantle is ridiculous. So, I love the Shadow Mantle fight, but it's not going to work for this. So, that's the mirror trophy. And then Erase is relatively the same, but there are a couple special requirements. For 3, if you kill Susie or Ralsei in the sword route, then that'll give you the trophy. So I won't be doing that because I'm not doing sword route. Susie erasing the window at the diner counts for the trophy. So I won't be doing the diner cutscene. I'll make sure I don't go there and just go straight to Noelle's house in Chapter 4. Cleaning the blood by the birdcage in Chris's room is also qualifies for the erase trophy. So I won't go to Chris's room and interact with that. That's it for that line. Let's go to Sword and Throne. So these should be pretty easy. One of the requirements I want to highlight first is getting the sword in the sword route. Not doing sword route, that one's fine. Equipping a weapon in the light world or the dark world. Light world, I don't think I've actually ever equipped a weapon. I assume it's just the same as you would do in Undertale because the UI is the same, virtually the same as Undertale. And then for the dark world, the difference between this and Undertale is that your weapons don't show up in your inventory. So I'm not going to even accidentally hit them when they're in my inventory, fortunately. So I would have to go to the menu and specifically equip a new one. Which, the issue with this is I'm not going to be able to ever upgrade my weapon. It might actually be better in this case for me to not continue from a Chapter 1 save in Chapter 2 and so on, because I don't remember if the game automatically gives you a better weapon. It might, so I'll look into that, but I wouldn't want to go through the whole game with the worst weapon if I could avoid that. So that's the sword trophy. For Throne, this one's funny. Toilets, or Chariel, or the throne in Chapter 1. So, I'll just list these off. Chris's toilet in Chapter 1, 2, and 4. You can't interact with that. Chariel in 1, 2, and 4. And Chariel with Susie, because Susie has special dialogue if you interact with Chariel in Chapter 4, apparently. You cannot do that. Otherwise, you will automatically get the throne trophy. And then, toilets in the Dark World. There's a toilet that the Birdley statue is in Chapter 2. There is a toilet that blocks the way back in the mouse room. I don't know if that's weird route or normal, but no, it's normal because you have Noelle normally in Chapter 2. So yeah, there's a toilet blocking the way. Can't go that way. And then I think it's the King's Throne in Chapter 1 that you're not allowed to interact with. So just those specifically. Don't interact with those. So now we're back to some actually hard ones. Game overs. This one I want to go to first because failure can be achieved by several means. Losing in boxing is the one that I'm confused about because I don't know if this is just the boxing minigame that happened, like the arcade minigame, or if this is also the queen fight. Because if it's just the queen fight, then the boxing minigame will be fine. I don't have to worry about that. But I should be able to get that first try anyway. It's not super difficult. But if it is that one, I just want to make sure. So losing in any of the other game over scenarios should be okay because most of the main story fights aren't super difficult. It's usually the secret bosses where I get hung up on and like where I die. And by the time a game over would happen, I'd also have lost a lot of health, so I'd be really concerned about that happening. Which is why, again, I'm mostly only concerned about it with the Titan spawn. I think Titan spawn, yeah. And the Titan spawn and the Titan in Chapter 4 for taking damage there. I think also for Jackenstein is going to be difficult because of all the moving bullets in there and having to speed through for the "you're taking too long" section. Then just game overs in general are going to be difficult. So the ones that I think will be fine will be, first off, the Shadow Mantle and the second night fight. So if you die the first time to the knight, it doesn't count that as a loss. I think the first time, I'm pretty sure the first time is always guaranteed to just go on with the story. I might be wrong about that, but if you died multiple times to the knight, then the second time only counts for it. So good on Toby for actually making it, acknowledge that you don't have to beat the knight in order to do this PS5 challenge. That's great. Shadow Mantle, I'm not doing Shadow Mantle, so that's fine. Shadow Mantle, for some reason, is a different handle. Like, it qualifies differently in the game as a death than it does in, like, a normal game over. I don't know why. So, game over skip is also just mashing the button and skipping the game over screen early, which I don't have to worry about. Let's skip over Treasure Hunter and go to Closeness. Closeness! You hug the dummy. Hug Ralsei, push Ralsei in Chapter 3, or get the hot chocolate from Asgore. I think the hot chocolate from Asgore is only weird route. I'll need to double check this, but I'm fairly certain I won't have to do that. I don't think I got hot chocolate from in my casual playthrough when I did weird route, so I'll just make sure it's not normal instead. Pushing Ralsei is one that I'm likely to forget because he turns into a block in the minigame and then expects you to push him. And that's the solution to the puzzle, but fortunately, you don't have to do it. If you don't push Ralsei, Tenna will get really upset at you, and then automatically, like, he'll cut to, like, a technical difficulties break, and then come back with Ralsei already in the right spot. So that should be good. Hugging the dummy, that's only going to happen at the beginning. I should be okay to skip that. And then hugging Ralsei, I'll just not choose the hug option on the acid... It's not acid trip. I forget what it's called. But that, the boat with the swan and stuff. So I won't do that. So we only have 2 sections left. Let's go to Strengthen. Strengthen is getting stronger in Chapter 2 only. This doesn't apply to 3 and 4. There are no references to this in the code for 3 and 4. So whenever your party gets stronger, and that's you defeat an enemy with force in Chapter 2, you will get this trophy. I won't be doing that. I'll be trying to spare everyone in Chapter 2, and I would assume in future chapters as well, but I don't know. I guess I have a choice in 3 and 4. 1, 3, and 4 after... Oh, that's funny. So I'm wondering if I should spare until Susie is on my team. But I don't know. I think... So Susie killing an enemy only applies to Chapter 1, so I don't know if that applies to a scripted kill for an enemy. So at the very least, I'll be able to kill things in 3 and 4, if I needed to. So, going back to this, getting stronger shouldn't be a problem for Chapter 2 specifically. Then, for the Queen fight, I cannot enable the head mode, whether it's duck mode, gun mode, or whatever mode, or use the turbo dodge. If I use either of those, that gives the trophy as well. So that might make the queen fight and taking damage or getting a game over significantly more difficult. So I'm going to have to practice up that fight to make sure I'm taking as little damage as possible, just to make sure that works. So a lot of these, again, a lot of these that are in black, I am moderately concerned about. The green ones I'm not at all. And then the red ones are going to just be painful to get through. It's just all the damage ones for those. So the last section, and I'll zoom in just for fun. Here we go. The last section is Treasure Hunter. And this one, there is a cap of 110 on this. Now, I know I'm going to be collecting some of these because of the Jackenstein fight. The Jackenstein fight gives you this counter incremented every time you get one of the Pac-Man pellets. And I don't know the optimal way to get through that fight, but I highly doubt there's more than 110 in that fight. There might be. I'll need to count, go back and review the footage, just to make sure, because there is a limited number. You know, you run out of rooms eventually. Well, no, but then you keep getting them. Yeah, so I'll need to make sure that I have enough resources to finish that fight. Not items, obviously. I guess I wouldn't have any resources then. What am I talking about? I need to get good. So that's one thing that counts toward the 110. The other thing that counts toward the 110 is opening any kind of chest that has an item inside. So this is a normal chest in 1, 2, 3, and 4. This is also a checkmark chest, which is a different code in Chapter 2, and the painting that gives you the revivement in Chapter 2. This one shouldn't be a problem, so I could probably set it to green, but I just want to make sure that I don't accidentally trigger anything by it, which even if you trigger it, it automatically gives you the counter up for it. So all of these, I think that's it, actually. Oh, hey, there's someone in chat. Hey, Audrey Thompson, what's up? I am able to see your chats. I'm sorry, I've just been aggressively ignoring chat because I've just been locked in. Let me finish up just going over this whole thing, and then I can talk to you if you have any questions about it. But anyway, that is everything that is going to be required for the no trophies route for PS5. I will hopefully be testing this. I mean, oftentimes when I get onto a project, I just go for it for a couple days and then start working on another project and ignore it. And so hopefully this will be something that I actually consistently do. And if I get really frustrated with this and decide not to continue, then that'll be sad. But anyway, I will be working on this probably later this week, maybe tomorrow even, starting with PC testing and stuff like that. And then otherwise, once I get through that and get a good route and figure out the hard parts, I'll be starting on PS5. So that is everything. Audrey, if you're still here, then I can talk to you, but you might have headed out after seeing me not really responding, which my apologies again for that if you see this VOD later. But anyway, I'll stick around for another minute to see if you show up. Let me see here. So I do want to figure out, so Susie killing an enemy. Let me open up the Undertale mod tool actually that I use here. So I've got this. And I will jump into this. Let's open up, let's see, chapter 1. Great. So this is going to be in the, actually I can just use the search function for this. Let's go to find, searching code, trigger, event. If I search for this, great. This gives me all of these. So one of these is going to be for the heart enemy. Great. And this is 22. So 22 is the Susie attacks an enemy trophy. And if we go to dummy enemy, close this out. Oh, is this the right one? Yeah, I don't think this is for, oh no. This is the dummy. My bad. So trigger is hugging the dummy. Trigger event. Let's see, we got, I am blind. Okay. I think it's hero parent actually, because it's 22, right? Yeah, 22. So let's see. If you did not cancel the attack, then... Okay, it only works for auto Susie. Great. So this auto Susie, I believe, is just you don't have control over Susie, and Susie is attacking the enemy. So good. I should be able to kill things as Susie, even in Chapter 1, for that matter. Okay, Audrey, if you want to chat, I guess leave me a comment on this video on YouTube. If not, very sorry if I missed your chat. All right, that's gonna be it for today. Thanks for watching as I ramble through random stuff about this run, and I will see y'all later when I actually try to get it done. That's about it. See ya.